Okay, so I'm going to continue on doing the usual, an introduction before I get on to the topic that's actually on my heart to speak today. Just keep in mind that my case is definitely a left behind case. So I'm dealing with my personal property historically on my profile. Okay, so if you don't know your laws, this here legislation, it's actually refers to the person's personal property rights act, and then so this here is the actual legislation laws that actually encompasses around the individual's personal property, example, their existence on earth, anything to do with their life, anything to do with that they are a client to any other agency, or for example, medical records, school records, employment records, bank account records, anything like that you are a client to. That is all becomes your personal property. You don't have to own the company to actually say it's yours. Any company or organisation or any corporate bodies, whether incorporated or not, if you're a client to them, that becomes your personal property automatically. There are laws around, I know for a fact that government agencies are not allowed to delete anything about a person. I know that the system's changed so much, everything's meant to be kept in archive. They're not allowed to delete anyone's existence if they've been a client or worked for them or anything like that. So I know that that's still applicable today, but this is regarded as your property. Okay, so today's date is the 19th of May 2025. Welcome to Authentic Ingenuity Entrepreneur. My name is Minna Crichton. Welcome to my channel. I'm the narrator of this video clip and all other video clips in regards to my personal property on my channel and also on Facebook page. So my YouTube channel and my Facebook page is regarded as my personal property. So this is just an example of what is a personal property. You can work for your employer, but your employer doesn't actually own you. So like you're not their property, but you, as far as legal terminology is concerned, you are their employee. So what I mean is that while you're working for them, your employment records, that is your personal property. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to say. It doesn't matter if you use different organizations globally online, whatever data you use or whatever, that is your personal property. It doesn't actually belong to the company. So there are laws around about privacy breaches and protecting people's property. So this is what I was part of the was on my heart this morning too, was actually just to elaborate a little bit more about properties. So if people are actually accessing and deleting your existence, that becomes a criminal offence automatically. So that's like internally. So if like you can be using, for example, you can use YouTube, you can use Facebook, you can use the government system, like if you're on a benefit, everybody, that is on a benefit, whatever your data talks about you, that is actually about your personal property. It's important to make sure that the data is actually correct. It doesn't actually become working income's property. It is part of it, but and when it comes to legal matters in regards to a individual, that is the individual's property. So they have that right to ask for all that information, and by law they actually have to give that information because it's about you. Okay, it's actually your property, it's not theirs. So just because there's a CEO and the government owes certain things, there are certain things in regards to an individual's personal property. That is your property, that is your identity, that is your entity. So you have the right to that information, and you have the right to make sure that that information is correct. Okay. So historically, I think everyone knows by now that I've been going on social media in regards to my court cases, and everything is true. Okay, so if you're new on board, welcome. But everything on my YouTube channel is a real life self-litigating case. It's a real life judgments, real life everything, evidence. And all the information on my YouTube channel and on my Facebook page, it is most of it is actually in reference to my court cases. Is also an exhibit. I actually made submission to actually to the judge that my YouTube channel and my Facebook page is actually an exhibit. All right, it's because nowadays, because everything's technology, you can actually use technology video clips as an exhibit or for proof of evidence, and that's why I started doing social media, because when I got pushed out of my job, I was actually derailed out of my job, out of my employment. And I knew that what I'd gone through personally as an individual was absolutely 100% illegal. It was serious, it was dangerous, and it was definitely a criminal case. So the result has been, historically, I've been battling a court case in the civil jurisdiction since 2016. However, it is definitely a criminal case, so it should have actually been transferred to the criminal jurisdiction rather it being hanging around in the civil, because it actually doesn't have a civil jurisdiction because of all the evidence I had actually submitted. So everything is actually unlawful strikes, meaning anything unlawful strikes is not true. So I've been challenging that legally. That's why I have not given up. And then going social media has actually helped my court case. So thanks for everyone that's actually, kind of enlightened and woken up to what's actually going on. But yeah, so it is now, like, as years go by with what I've gone through, the actual criminal offences accumulate, all right, because there's so much serious violent offences that has actually occurred, incidents in my personal profile. But anything that is not true and unlawful is actually a fraud, which becomes automatically a criminal case. So I'm up against secret societies, but it is also the New World Order system. Okay, so I'm experiencing all that, and it's kind of like I've learned a lot, and a lot of my discovery is like, oh my goodness, this is not good. So I'm just wanted to kind of like just go over just to update everybody of where I'm at, because I'm going to keep my court case in the moment, because the opposing allies, obviously, in my case is the Crown, okay? And if you don't know who the Crown is, that is actually the state and the government. So they all know about me. So I've had to go social media to actually do what they're doing. I didn't realize it, but they were actually doing their petitions using social media, and that kind of explains of the criminal alliances that are actually in my space as an individual trying to carry on with life normal, but it's impossible when these secret societies doing petitions globally, whether to impede, to sabotage, to spy, be an informant. But it's all because of the court case. That's cheating. It's a petition, but it's illegal if it's causing somebody else harm. It's illegal if it's causing someone, damaging somebody's property. It's illegal if people get murdered or hurt in between. It's just a matter of finding the links and linking it to who's actually the perpetrator behind the scene. So what makes it more scary, it's global. Okay, it's been a global secret society, and they've been using the relationship scam scenario. Okay, so there's nothing new about or clever about what they're doing. It's just the technologies has allowed them to do things in advance, which makes it more dangerous for innocent civilians who actually mind their own business, for civilians who are, who are sheltered. It's like, in other words, it's not safe to be sheltered anymore. Because that's my background. I'm an introvert. I've always minded my own business, just walking around, just being, busy about my own business and busy about life, and not really caring about things like social media. I've never ever been into a social media person. In fact, if I had a choice, I would know about me. I wouldn't even go on social media. However, we all have different journeys, and this is where I believe I've been led to discover how the actual New World Order works, linking to people's court cases, and also my discovery finding out that the opposing allies are actually cheating in their court cases, and they're cheating in relationships, and they're poaching. If you don't know what poaching is, they're actually stealing from other businesses. They're stealing people's ideas. They can steal your clients. They can steal people that you're working with. They can steal your wife, your husband, your children. They can steal anything. So this is my discovery with the social media platform. And yeah, that is not good. But that is what is actually happening. So it kind of helps if you know your lockout. So if you've gone through what I've gone through, where I've actually exhausted the system, and I have actually exhausted the system, so it's quite clear that I am 100% have been a lockout situation. Okay, so I've been locked out from the system. I felt like I've been locked out from my government. I've been locked out from society. The unfortunate and most serious thing for myself is that other secret societies have come in my space, invade my personal space. I don't know why they're doing it, but that is my personal discovery of what I've gone through. But they're not only just, I don't know why they do what they're doing, but it is definitely linked to my court case. And now, there's clear evidence of mixed match evidence in my personal property that's been damaged. And now I'm dealing with that at the moment. So my case now, which is, what's the month? It's May 2025. Definitely I'm dealing with body corporate offences now, historically, because it's crimes against humanity. Okay, so this game eventually ruins people's reputation and their testimony because everything is personal. Okay, you're glued to whoever is doing what they're doing. You're being animated or inanimated according to the criminal law. For those that don't know what that means, it means a substitute is being used to deviate or divert your personal energy, your existence to another person. In plain English, they're stealing your life. Alright guys, so I'm just using posters from my own personal experience, and also a lot of the material that I get or the information that I put on my posters, they are actually me interpreting what the actual legislation means in plain English for those that don't know how to read the legislation. So just keep in mind it's a different set of circumstances for everyone. Okay, it's a case-by-case basis. So just because I've gone through what I've gone through doesn't mean that's what's happened to you. But the person's human rights is gone, their Bill of Rights is gone, and their personal property is definitely damaged in the process. It is definitely 100% a global sport historically, but it's more so body corporate discrimination as a crime. All of them involved in blocking people out, and then you get secret societies in your space stalking you and doing the damage secretly because they are actually inciting or doing secret petitions illegally on television, on the news, or their video clips that floats around in social media. It is a conspiracy, okay? So if it's damaged or interfered in a person's private property, or a home invasion can be clearly articulated as definitely 100% a conspiracy globally. And if you're linked to it, congratulations, you may get done for conspiracy. But for those that don't know what a conspiracy is, or the new age conspiracy linking to the government, my court case, I'd probably say is it's a good example of what a very serious New World Order conspiracy entails. A lot of innocent civilians get hurt and murdered secretly, disappear, or anything can happen. But it is serious, so I'll just carry on to the next. First of all, you do end up being an exploited victim. Okay, so we're dealing with, you can go about your business, whether you're driving your car, so they are using their cars, guys, so listen to your gut instincts if you feel something's not right. If they're tailing you, if they're giving signals like driving their car with one headlight, usually a sign, but these people are breaking the law. They are like another form of a gang, looking like normal everyday members of the public, but they're actually gangs. But we don't know who they are, and keeping in mind it could be global, so you don't know who. So basically it's like finding out where's Wally. Okay, so it's internal corruption. It can be in government and out in public, and that's my personal experience historically. So it's basically finding out, articulating or ascertaining, okay, who's breaking the law, where's Wally, who's the criminal, kind of a thing, okay? But it is serious, so I'll carry on with the next one. So for those that don't know, but criminal harassment, even if people are just loitering, it's called, if you don't know what loitering is, it's a good way to explain it is when a prostitute actually is out on K Road or something like that, waiting for a client to come pick them up and take them away for the evening to pay them for sex. That's the same thing how you'd describe somebody loitering outside your house or outside your property, just waiting. They can look innocent, but they have a purpose, whether they're there to spy or just to tip off somebody else that you're leaving, and then the actual stalking continues wherever you're going. They're stalking you coming out of their home. So that is what it's actually called, loitering. So if they get investigated and if they can't prove why they're actually hanging around, what they're doing, and there are ways of finding out things, it is 1 year imprisonment. Criminal harassment, it comes under the same thing, but I think that one is actually 2 years imprisonment. Okay, and in a lockout situation, we're dealing with white-collar crimes and blue-collar crimes offences. So if you don't know what that is, white-collar crimes, obviously, it's somebody hierarchy, okay? It can be anybody hierarchy. It could be a white supremacist hierarchy, anybody in government, in a hierarchy job, okay? It can be anybody. And then blue-collar crimes, that'd be classified as people like in the call centre, people at the counter, more of a, yeah, but that's what you call their, so if they're all kind of like all participating together and blocking people out, that's a very serious case. I have found that in what I've gone through, everyone has family members, you know, or friends, but it becomes so personal that they are inciting and coding people, and then everyone's actually reacting on that rather, so they don't actually have to ring them or anything, they just need to watch TV or the coding, whatever they're doing coding, to let others know they need help or whatever it is. And this is what's actually motivating people, which makes it more serious for the public. So the public welfare, not only the public, but for those in government. Because little did I know, going back 2010, what I've gone through since they derailed me from my job is no difference to what I was going through when I was actually minding my own business, working for a very prominent job in the government. So for those who don't know or can't new on board, I used to work in the courts as a court deputy registrar, and that was my main field. It was mostly criminal jurisdiction, is my longest experience working there. But when I think about everything I've gone through, it's actually no different. Maybe I was safer because they had security. Then I had, a lot of good people watching over me. But then when they push you out, it's just the reality of what I've gone through. It's just no difference. Okay. And I've done this color here in the mixes culture, so it becomes an illegal commonwealth game because all the public members, all the people that are targeting you are linked to somebody in hierarchy or somebody, the other thing I found, how easy it is to actually steal. Once they collect all your data, anyone can actually do what they've done to me to other people. Okay, so we're doing with superior abuse of power and authority. Okay, so the laws are there for everybody. No one is actually above the law. If you break the law, you put yourself at risk. Okay, so for those who don't know, serious wrongdoing are usually offences committed by corporate bodies. Those work in body corporates, in government. Okay, in my case, court deputy registrars handling my cases are at risk of losing their jobs. If not, some of them probably have left their jobs because they're scared or they've been fired. But usually you get charged in a conspiracy crime. So it doesn't matter if they leave, if you're linked to it. Conspiracy crimes, they're like war crimes. Okay, so usually the people that gets audited are those within the original's personal environment. They become a crime scene, and then that's how they undo a conspiracy. If you're linked to it, there are ways of finding out things. If people are pretty good liars these days. But there are ways of finding out whether you've participated in corruption. So nothing's impossible, all right? But it is definitely called its meaning of serious wrongdoing by organisations, okay? These are just the main, when you put in your complaints, these are the main people you'd put your complaints in. Unfortunately, it's illegal not to actually follow through complaints. My personal experience is that I've put in complaints, but I have a reason of belief that the actual people that are actually, I'm talking to other people that are responsible for conspiring to take me down personally. Okay, I'm blocked out, I'm locked out, and then they're using the relationship scam to deviate and secretly steal, and that's easily proven now. It's black and white in my personal property. So globally, guys, we now have agents, okay? So when we ring call center, if you're locked out and you get different people, we're dealing with agents, okay? They call themselves agents. The problem is we have no idea who the heck they are. Okay, we only get a first name if we're lucky, or we'll get an answering machine, and that's it. But behind the scene, they're actually agents. They can be charged $1 million for being riotous, or if they're linked to a court case. The other thing I find that's something our government needs to look at is our phone and the recording. I know that my phone's been diverted to people that aren't even agents. Okay, I just know. I know I've spoken to gang members, or my phone's been diverted to somebody else, or I'm glued and there's several other perpetrators in my space, and they're glued to me, and they're diverting it to the substitute who is intending to steal everything. Okay. So that's just something. And my other discovery is agents have actually. I've rung my phone, linking to my court cases, of course. They identify themselves working for the hub desk, or the call centres for whichever jurisdiction, whether it's a criminal courts, or whether it's district court, high court, whatever court it is I'm ringing on the call centre. They've identified themselves, for the courts. But then I've gone back to backtrack the call, and they've actually deleted the call from my phone. But I know I'm very efficient with evidence. Okay, I do manual everything, and I also do both electronic. So I've got records of everything I do. But in saying that, even if I didn't have the record, I've actually got an excellent memory. If I say I did that, I did that. Sometimes I forget, but I always remember the truth later on. Or I get my information wrong on the spot, but later on I will remember, oh no, that's what happened. But once I'm adamant about something, I'm actually accurate. Like I can say, yes, that's happened. So that's the discovery I have found with being locked out with my court case. It's all linked to my court case. All right, so I have felt that people have used me to do things. Like they've used me to get a foot in the door or find out information. They're stealing my intellectual property at the same time, in my documents for themselves. So they're literally using me, and then they're doing hit and runs. Then they disappear. So that's my discovery of what I've gone through personally. Okay, so this here is this is actually on the legislation. Okay, so it says here protection from liability. Okay, let's just see. So it's been amended, the Act 2006. This is just something our government needs to look at. My case is criminal, so I'm discovering all these things that's not right. But it says here these people are actually protection from liability. Okay, so just because that says on this legislation, it doesn't mean that they aren't. It doesn't. If they've done something, they're only protected as long as they're not breaking any laws. So the moment they do anything on their own and not abiding to the laws, they'll be audited by the law. So if they're doing perjury or helping someone leave a crime scene, committing a crime and leaving a crime scene, they'd be charged. So just because that says there, yes, they are protected from some things, depending on what it is. But if it's a criminal case, criminal always overrides anything civil. Okay, that hasn't changed. This new world order has trying to change that, but that has not changed. Okay, so I hope you're getting that information. But this is my discovery. So you're hearing it from me. Just because this here says that, it does not mean that they are protected completely from criminal liability. And in saying that, the body corporate becomes a liability as a whole. So the body corporate is treated like an individual, and they will be shut down, and they have to compensate the victims. Even if they shut down, because I have found that people are actually stealing using their corporate body, jobs, whatever it is. Then they shut down and leave the crime scene after stealing. And hey, you've just stolen heaps of money from people, and then they take off. Well, they can still be found out when the right people actually investigate behind it properly. But I'm just, just talking about my personal experience. That's pretty serious stuff. But that is my discovery. They can actually plan and plot anything well in advance using their jobs, steal a massive amount of money, shut down their business, and then go leave the country, whatever, with other people's money, and then change the name and operate again. That is my discovery of what they've done to me. But when the right people investigate, it's actually it's a job. It's hard for them. It's going to take quite a bit of time to find out, but they will find out. There are ways around everything. My concern is that in the moment, glued to the victims, and then the stealing, deleting. Okay, so they can do this and then point the finger at the wrong person, or the wrong person can can be charged for an offence they never committed. Could be at the wrong place, wrong time, and while the real perpetrators who've just stolen millions of money from somebody and taken off. And that's what's actually happened. That's my personal experience as the victim of crimes. And that's also the same experience of Henry Cavill as a victim of crimes too. Okay, guys, so this is the new world order system. Okay, so if you're locked out, you're now dealing with call centers. We're dealing with people behind the scene. But my personal experience being a targeted individual, I've only been dealing mostly with call centers because they won't get anyone senior. And when I ring the Spark or ring the phone company to get a phone number of someone senior, even then it doesn't go any further. Okay, so that's quite serious, right? So regardless if they're blocking me out, it's actually law. It's actually law and legal law that public members are able to get someone senior. But my personal experience, I've only been able to go through to call centers and email hubs. And then I've also known, which I find very insulting, is that the people that the coalition or the people behind it are actually the people out to steal. Right? I'm actually talking to the perpetrators who has motive and intent to steal everything, whether it's to steal my boyfriend or whatever it is. So, and it's global. So I hope you're getting a picture. That's serious. Okay, so every single body corporate linked to my case. But they are deleting stuff. In the moment, they're like committing a crime, deleting, and then when they realize, like, I'll send in my documents, then they reread the evidence, and oh my gosh, and then they actually conspire to sabotage, to delete, to republish, or do something to make look like the evidence is not there. Okay, that is my personal experience of what I've gone. That is very serious predicament for anyone. Okay, so my case definitely 100% is a global criminal case involving money laundering, relationship scam, and it's the New World Order. Yep, I know, without a shadow of doubt, heaps of people in public office, deputy registrars, maybe even judges, have all participated one way or another in corruption. And police officers, I'm not talking just about them. We're talking about white-collar crimes and blue-collar crimes. So yeah, it's become cultural because they are inciting, and then they're all getting their family and friends, and everyone is emotionally involved in the Commonwealth game, which is very serious and dangerous for innocent civilians who have no idea that their life may be in danger. That's what it looks like. Okay, so if body corporates are altering, concealing, destroying, or reproducing documents with intent to deceive, it's 10 years imprisonment. Okay, so if you've done that on my personal property, expect to be caught out. This is the illegal scientific experiment that the government did to me and people in the public going back to 2008 and so forth. Okay, I ended up being an exploited victim while I was working and publicly exploited, and my files have also been treated the same. Different people all the time dealing with it. I mean, that's a conspiracy. Okay, 90, it's a disrespectful to an individual's file. That's serious. Okay, that's just a criminal tactic by those who are probably liable for very serious conspiracy crimes to try and save their own jobs. Like they only care about themselves. They use people, but when they know they're in trouble, they live in fear. Okay, so the only way they can not be made accountable is do what they've done to me, where they've been coding and then people self-sacrifice themselves to help them save their job so they won't get exploited. But that's my personal experience of what I've gone through. It is definitely 20 years imprisonment. It's trafficking in persons case. Yeah, it's definitely global, guys. It's a global, and even though espionage seems to be acceptable, it's actually still a crime. So every single perpetrators involved, you can still be charged for espionage. So my case actually is global, and it's a party or any other people outside of New Zealand can be charged, not only just those in New Zealand. So basically we're dealing with what is authentic and what is fake. Okay. Obviously we want what is real and authentic to override what is fake, because most people are straight. When we're born, we're most of us. I'm a straight person. Okay, so I'm not gay. I'm one of these people. I'm very straight. I'm no nonsense when it comes to lawbreakers. I don't take pleasure in games where it's endangering innocent civilians or where people's liberty is gone. I do not find anything like that. I do not have that kind of sense of humor for anything like that. Okay, so basically we're dealing with, is our environment, public environment, is it authentic, real, is it safe? If it's not, if it's fake, it's not safe. That's the truth of it. If it's not natural, we're not safe. All right, so cases like mine, anything can be dealt with after the fact, whether it's 10 years, 20 years, because it's warlike crime involving an innocent civilian, and they've contaminated and they have invaded my personal space. So it's home invasion case. Anything can be undone after the fact. Okay, so we're dealing with riotous damage. So it's people within your space are secretly doing unlawful everything to damage people's property, to sabotage, to impede, and even to kill by, accident when it's not actually an accident. Okay. It's going to go through it could be anybody in government, this is like hierarchy, public office. Okay, so unfortunately for everyone who's been involved in my case, is a clear case of trading in influence. That's 7 years imprisonment. This explains why unlawful strikes is fraud, why the judgments is fraud. Okay, so there's definitely trading in influence, and that's exactly what's actually happened to me. Not only that, unlawful strikes, they've written something that's fraud, causing somebody's reputation to be ruined and endangering not only ruining their reputation, but causing there's a massive loss for victims, massive loss. Okay, it's 17 years imprisonment if that can be proven. Okay, because you are either innocent or you're not. So unfortunately, the Crown is the guilty offender. And legally by law, everyone should be made accountable whether you are the Crown or not. But you can't be innocent and work for the government and breaking laws. Okay, so you're either the offender or the defendant, and it's 14 years imprisonment for false accusations. So the unlawful strikes are fraud, and so that has to be put right legally. And which means, it clearly says here, knowing that the person is innocent. So, the Crown has known that I'm innocent, so that makes them legally liable, criminally liable automatically. Okay, so when people's complaints are not being investigated or treated normally, and nothing happens, and if anything happens to the victim, that becomes conspiracy to defeat justice automatically, or they have impeded rescue. Okay, so some of the things I've gone through, they've actually been so personal and so intimate. So it's called immediate, that's what it's called. I have felt like people have ripped my soul out over and over again. But it is definitely, yes, it would be classified as sufficient evidence on my profile for aiding and abetting suicide with my court cases. So this charge is actually, there's sufficient evidence to prove that, and I've actually charged the Ministry of Health for that. So I'm still going on with my court case at the moment, but everything from my personal experience is definitely suicidal pack. It's several packs. Okay, it's a criminal alliance. They're just taking turns. Okay, so they've made out that I'm the crazy person, but it's a massive cover-up of years of secret stealing. People have committed some pretty serious crimes upon me. Then they use their money and the law to protect their identity, or they may be even in prison while we are speaking, but they haven't let the victim know. But this is the reason why I haven't been able to go forward. But it's definitely, it's the new age Jack the Ripper gaming and scam. Okay, so they call it Jack the Ripper, but it's actually called Jack a Crack. Okay, so it's a game, it's a global game, it's real, it's a sport. But what they're actually doing, as you all know, I'm a serious-minded person. I don't play games, but behind the scene, people are playing games. Okay, they're inciting, they're making fun, or like turning somebody's serious situation into a joke. I just don't see that as funny. Okay, I found that out with Henry Cavill and myself situation. We've both been victims of people trying to conspire to murder us. I was poisoned, he was poisoned. But so that's a good example. So, here we are, the originals fighting for their life, and then there's this global imposters, with what they're doing secret. That's the predicament of what I've gone through. And they're involving your friends and family like they're voting like some kind of a game, but they don't even know. They don't even know the legal details and the seriousness. So eventually they want to make out that I'm a liar, or the originals are a liar, or the originals got a mental issue, blah, blah, blah. But that's serious stuff. And just to think that I've actually worked for my government for that long while all this was secretly happening globally, because I can actually prove that globally, that is what was happening to me while I was going to church minding my own business. A serious person, and then we've got all these clowns all kinds of people gluing themselves secretly, animating it's called, and animate, and pretending, they're pretending, or, it's defamation. Okay, eventually, if you ignore those kind of things, eventually, you like all the good that you've worked for, everything good about yourself, they can steal everything, and, eventually you will end up getting murdered if you ignore it. Okay, so my case definitely falls in the criminal jurisdiction. I've been quite busy lately. I've been going through quite a lot, just going through a lot by myself, and just, it hasn't been a very, emotionally, it's been a struggle personally, but, every time God just seems to intervene when I really need him the most. But my case against the New Zealand Police is not over. And I've actually, I've found quite a lot of discovery of what I have found with the system, okay, because I've had to do my case, and it's not good, okay. So here, my case has been stuck in the civil jurisdiction for so long, okay. So I'm dealing with civil judges. We're dealing with people in the civil jurisdiction who are not, their background is not criminal, so their mind thinking of that, their way of thinking is not criminal. Like, each jurisdiction is different, okay? In my own personal discovery of every jurisdiction, criminal cases and criminal laws are different. They're not like civil whatsoever. That's why they have that's why they have criminal judges, and then they have civil judges. Their background, their experience, their knowledge is not the same. Right? I've done both. I've done civil, I've done criminal, and the way you look at cases is not how you would look at, like, if it's a criminal case, it's definitely not a civil jurisdiction. So my case has been unlawfully been in the civil jurisdiction for a very long time, when I've asked the courts many times to transfer it to criminal because I knew it was a criminal case. However, that is not what has happened. So the other thing I have discovered, and I'm just, at the moment, I'm just doing quite full on at the moment, but I may even just do a video clip just to update everyone of how the actual New World Order, as far as the laws are concerned, how they've changed it. So basically what they've done to me in real life, in my court case, is that they've made me the criminal, and they've made the defendants the victim. Okay, so there's a lot of court protocols that's broken. Okay, there's a lot, and I can prove it. I'm not afraid. I have the right to deal with my personal property. That is what I'm dealing with. My personal property. I want those judgments to be turned over. But what I have found in my discovery as far as the Crimes Act, because now they've put everything under this, so it puts all the innocent civilians at risk. Okay, they will go through what I'm going through globally. That's my discovery. They've deleted a lot of laws. I don't know, from my personal experience and the way I've discovered the actual criminal law, I think criminal judges should actually look at the legislation. It's actually set out to deceive. So if people are getting their complaints not investigated, or the illegal case going through what I'm going through, it's because of the way they've set out the laws, okay? It's somebody's actually gone and deleted a lot of laws that's actually relevant, and if the judges are brand new or the court registers have no experience, they wouldn't pick up what I picked up, okay? In fact, I think some people needs to be done for treason, because it's global. But I'm just going through that process at the moment. I've made communication, just like been working. I've got so much on my plate trying to deal with everything. I'm going through changes because I've had to. Okay, and I have felt in my heart that my court case is my first priority. I'm making it my first priority because but I had in the last little while, if you've been watching the other video clips with the New Zealand Police case, all right, so the judge has made a judgment. So every evidence that you have read on that is true. I've only just responded to, like the judge actually sent out like 4 minutes, 4 different, like first she sent out the judgment, then she sent out 3 different minutes, okay, and so I've protested. Well, I'm thinking about it. Like, I have to wait and to just see how I go. Because of my life, I'm the victim. My life is in danger. This should never have gone on for so long. It is linked globally to the women in my cases. Okay, that's an unfair fight. But anyway, my discovery in the criminal jurisdiction for New Zealand is serious. Okay, it's serious. It's very, very, very serious. I know I'm not focusing on any other laws. I'm just focusing only on the laws that is applicable to us as New Zealanders. So basically, I just see them just setting everybody up. Okay, who's to say you will lose your job tomorrow and you end up going through what I'm going through? These gossip and rumor going around that you die trying. And you know what? It's actually kind of true. Because unless you're experienced and you're not going to give up, because, you know, the whole idea with what they've done to me historically is they exhaust the individual, not only assaulting them, assault and battery, hurting them, stealing off them, ill will, really cruel, treating a person like an animal. It's really inhumane stuff I've gone through, I've suffered through and persevered and gone through. It's inhumane. It's crimes against humanity. It's illegal. But I've heard that rumoured going around. I've heard other people say you die trying. It's actually quite true. Unless you're experienced, unless you do what I'm doing, you won't make it. But anyway, I'm just taking one day at a time as I go with this journey. But yeah, so the way that I have my personal discovery of the system is they actually turn the civil jurisdiction into where it's one-sided evidence by those that are doing illegal projects on individuals, but it's actually a conspiracy. It's a home invasion, illegal commonwealth on one specific individual. But there's several perpetrators, like there's several layers. If you watch all my other video clips, you'll get the understanding of where I'm coming from. But I'm just taking one day at a time. I've got a lot going on at the moment. And I've just responded to the judge and to the councils involved in my case. Okay, guys, so I'm dealing with, the case is actually, we're dealing with an individual civil rights, okay, and my property law, and my property. Doing with, like, my court cases is my property, okay. So there's none of this. I know some cultures, they have all their beliefs and they all want to get a piece of the pie, but when it comes to legal stuff, that is not even applicable. All right, so I'm dealing legally, only legal matters, legal mind, legal everything. So the only time that someone can actually do something for me or represent me as if I have given them authority of power of attorney. I have not given anybody power of attorney. Okay, and it's actually nothing in law that actually allows the government to make a individual a property. Okay, that's how I have felt. I have felt like I've been a property. It also explains the abuse, the sabotage, the relationship scam, global everything, which is so serious. But legally by law, I am an individual. Okay, so I'm fighting for my liberty. I'm fighting for my property, my human rights, and if I was not to make it, a criminal barrister will take over the case. I'm just saying, but this is what will happen, and every single corporate body involved will be treated for Category 4 offences automatically because there's sufficient evidence for that. Okay. So at this point in time, New Zealand police case is not over. I'm thinking about it. I'll just go with the moment. At the moment, I've actually, at this point in time, I've got a lot of things going on in my private life too, going through a few changes. But the New Zealand police case is not finished. I've just managed to put documents together, and I've just forwarded it to them today, so I'll give them a few days in that to have a look. My intent is to put everything in the criminal jurisdiction. I'm going to make it happen that way. But we'll see. We'll just take one day at a time. Okay, so I'm keeping an eye on the social media. I'm going to keep on contesting and denouncing anything. And by the way, everyone, Henry Cavill is not on social media. He's not seeing Natalie. Nothing has changed as far as that. He's a private person. Okay, he has no intentions at this point in time to have anything to do with Natalie Vasquiso. It's not his child. They're not together. The imposters are doing a pretty good job. So hope you all can see what's going on. It's all about money. Okay. So at this point in time, my case is worth about 60 million plus. If I was to take every other body corporate, so we're talking about money. And then Henry Cavill's got his own worth for other things. So it's all about money. But, for me, it's not about that. Even though the law says I'm entitled to it and it's my property. Okay, I'm not a property. Okay, I'm not New Zealand property. I'm not my family property. I'm not church property. I'm a human being fighting for my rights legally because I'm entitled to. And I have not signed anything to consent to it. So it's a real life criminal case. So I will keep everybody in tuned in the moment for the sake of those that are actually watching me. And also I may even just do a video clip just on my findings with the criminal jurisdiction as far as the legislation of actually prosecuting the opposing allies, because we can. Okay. I'm just working on everything at the moment, but Ministry of Health and City Med, according to the law, have already been charged legally by law. There are charges there that are outstanding, but I'm just going through the process and finding out my discovery of what I've gone through. The other thing I have found, what they've done to me is they have turned it around, made me the criminal. And then these, the Crown is cheating in the civil. Okay, there's no balance. That's unfair. You're using somebody for a pecuniary advantage. Your unlawful strikes are illegal. It's a crime. And so I am definitely opposing all that and just going with it. And just the fact that I have felt like they've turned me into a government property where different coalitions are voting. That is dangerous. That is serious. My case is definitely not family violence, although I know my family's been used in one way or another, but it's definitely not family violence. Okay? So this here explains the lockout. This is what it's like. Okay, they've turned me into a product or an app, and it just has not been safe. It's dangerous. Words cannot explain how serious and how dangerous it is. Okay, I know it's worse than, it's such a violation to any individual. It's so dangerous. So spiritually speaking, we're talking about criminal alliance, a sadist spirit, people that hate you. That's all they've done. Okay, so they've dug up people's past, and then all the people that hate you or whatever, just by gossip or just using their money to pay people to do things, they latch onto anything that is negative. Okay, so you can have the most, amazing life and innocent, and you haven't done anything wrong, but defamation, can turn on you, destroy you, everything that you've worked for. So that is why a breach is serious, but spiritually, it's an evil spirit. Okay, it's illegal. They call it a democracy. I call it a conspiracy. Right? They've all gotten away from what is actually why we have a legal system. Integrity is a individual, personal attribute. Okay, it's not a group thing, obviously. So that is what I'm doing. But biblically and spiritually, it is definitely a negative spirit by anyone. What I've gone through can happen to anyone. It can happen to you without even realizing it until it's too late. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I think I'll leave it there for now, just sort of update yous. I'll keep everything in the moment. I'm so busy all the time. It's a lockout situation. I've got to just go with everything I'm doing in the moment. I will keep you guys updated, okay, with my court cases. Just so you know. Yeah. I just thought I just had this because I am no longer actually a member of any church at this point of time, but I'm just doing my own personal walk, okay? Because of circumstances had forced me to not do anything what I'm doing because things cannot be the same. I've actually lived a very dangerous life without my consent, okay? This is the project that I was subject to when a home invasion was taking place in my personal space. I knew it was happening, but I couldn't do anything about it. So I'm not actually joined I'm not actually belonging to any church, but my belief is still the same as far as as a Christian, okay? But this here is actually my highlight verse for this week because I don't know, I just somehow God just lets me know and confirms things. So I always want to give God the glory no matter what the outcome is. I have felt people have used my religion as an excuse to do what they've done to me. Well, it's not on, okay? This is not 2,000 years ago when Jesus was born. This is definitely not that generation. And that is not my mindset. I believe if you've broken the law, I believe that you need to be made accountable, okay? So, but this is my verse for the week, and it says there, to him who knows knows to do good and does not do it, to him it is sin. So this actually confirmation, my interpretation of that verse is just, you may think you are in the rightful place, whatever your belief is, whether you have one or not. But it's, in other words, it's like to know what to do and not do it is wrong. Okay, if you know what you've done, what you're meant to do is you're supposed to do what's right. You're meant to side with the people that are innocent, not side with the people that are breaking the law. So it's actually sin. Okay. So yeah, so that's my verse for this week. It's also confirmation for me, when I ask God for confirmation for things for me, okay? Because my journey is only about me. It's not somebody else's. And so this here is confirmation that, you maybe go religious, going to church, you think you're doing all this and that, right? And you are a good citizen, and that, but, you just check your own walk, check your own, we're accountable to God individually, not as a group. And people have actually used the Bible to like judge other people. And some of these people aren't even Christians. Okay. Some of these people are from different religions and they have nothing to do with the Bible. So it's important that you ascertain who's telling the truth. You shouldn't be using the Bible for stuff like that to judge another person, because that's not your place. And the Bible is actually only letters. There's nothing without the Holy Spirit. They're just letters. And this here is one of my favorite verses. It clearly says, "Let none of you suffer as a murderer, a thief, an evildoer." So if you don't know what an evildoer is somebody that actually breaks the laws, a wrongdoer who actually secretly breaks the laws, or a busybody in other people's matters. That's why privacy laws should be the first most important legislation. This new age, the project, they exploited me. They dug up my past and they all just took turns stealing. That's what they done. And so I know God wants me to undo everything, and that's what I'm doing. Alright guys, I'm going to finish up soon. I've gone over time, but I'm quite sure you guys will enjoy this video. Alright, see this here? Okay, this video clip is... yeah, this is just making sure it was on. This video clip is on my YouTube channel. Okay, it's in regards to my employment. Okay, so I'm talking about the relationship scam started while I was working for my employer. Alright, so if you've watched all my other video clips, I've denounced all these women. They've all been used to animate me secretly, historically, without my permission. Okay, so they're definitely the negative alliance. They're not the positive alliance. They call it a democracy, but it's actually a conspiracy. Okay, it's so serious. It's so serious. But these women, it becomes a commonwealth game globally because they represent their country or their religion, but they are also controlled and manipulated by somebody else. They could be controlled by somebody hierarchy, somebody a millionaire, a billionaire, you name it. It's a global game. So this is my personal experience of what I've gone through. Okay, so I've put this video clip on YouTube, and this here is actually my diary. Okay, this is my real life diary for 2015. This is the last year of my employment. So basically, I'm just going through the evidence in this video clip, but it's also evidence of what I did every day. Gossip and rumors. People are spreading gossip that, about a person, whether they're lazy or whatever, hate, people say things out of hate. If they hate, they just do it. But it is a criminal alliance. But this here is actually evidence. Okay, so in this evidence, there's three video clips. It's to do with my work relationship when I was working, and I'm actually going through what I did every single day. So it's actually relevant evidence for my court case. Okay, so Eko Haronga, if you guys don't, she's been used for the game. Her name, people have used her name. So in this video, I'm going through what I actually do in my diary when I was working.
Here we have got a judge alone. This is the judge alone day.
Okay, so some of the courts I did was judge alone courts. This is where I was only a judge.
Different court again is judge alone trial. Okay,
yeah.
So instead of jury trials, this is judge alone cases where judges, only one judge.
So I've actually done jury trials. I've actually worked in jury trial cases, everyone. So I used to do jury trials depositions where I handled the actual evidence. Okay, and I also used to read back the evidence in jury trial. Okay, so this here, I've put up the links for everyone to have a look at it, but this is, like I said, my YouTube channel, my video clips is for a criminal case, and it's also an exhibit.
The judge makes a decision about the whole file or the whole case. That's the prosecutor versus the plaintiff.
So in here, there's a part of the video in my diary. There's evidence there to prove that Eko Haronga was a police prosecutor at that point in time. Like everything that I'm talking about, relationship scam. Her name, she was a prosecutor in some of our cases for the police. Okay, so my case is against New Zealand Police. It's against government body corporate. And I was the actual court deputy registrar. So that's actually in my diary. That's sufficient evidence to prove about the relationship scam I've been used for. We used to be friends, but you can't put all the blame on her because all the other cultures and the all the other cultures, extremists globally have used her name. Okay, they have used her name as part of coding. So I don't know. It's up to her. She can do what she, when it comes to criminal cases, evidence is evidence. But her name is definitely in this diary and on these clips of real hardcore evidence. Going back to that incident when I was working, when she found out that somebody must have tipped her off and she left the country and went to South Africa, or was it Africa? She just left her job suddenly, and that is what actually happened at that point of time. But this is only just an example of what whoever's behind the surveillance to do with me. They are committing the crime and then help each other cover up. That's not fair. That's illegal. I also have reason to believe Chai, who's linked to Rob Osborne. We worked together for nearly 9 years, and she's Asian. I believe the same thing happened, and with that. So I know that these people are actually linking themselves to to people's personal, private, family or whatever it is, because that's what they're doing. That's illegal. And then they embed themselves. So they're actually committing serious criminal offences and then leave the crime scene before they get caught. But she's Asian, so so that this is what you call the New Age, New World Order conspiracy. That is actually criminal. It's a criminal case, a very, 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 very serious one, linking to the Crown, the government, and people working and using their occupation for the wrong reasons. Okay, so I've put that all on my Facebook page, and the links and that, and I will keep everybody informed. But things has not been a roller coaster ride for me. Okay, so even though this happened so long ago, and they're trying to change the system where they can do what they're doing to an individual, like invade their home, invade their privacy, and then never be made accountable. This New World Order system is set out for that. It's set out for a one-way thing. That's the whole idea, is not to go back. But unfortunately, because it's a criminal category 4 case involving a innocent civilian, you can go back. Okay, but people don't know how to use the law because they've changed everything. They've split the law. Everything is everywhere. Okay, so and it's also set out to confuse the judges. So if the judges aren't experienced, it's easy to be confused, and that's my discovery. And whether some of the things I'm thinking, okay, this has to be a glitch to the system. If it is, somebody needs to make it correct, because it's so if the judges are making wrong decisions because of what they're actually discovering on the law, it's just there's a lot of like underneath it all. If you don't know how, like, it takes a lot of experience to get something right, and so that is my discovery with the laws. And I'm just going through it right now. I may even do a video clip just to actually go over what I've discovered, that I feel I know it's treason. Okay, somebody, whoever's doing it, whether it's intentional or what. Like, for example, you go into it and then it says a law, legislation, whatever, You go to press it and then it comes to a completely different legislation. Is like, okay, did I press that correctly? But that's easy to confuse somebody, so if people's applications are getting declined because of that, that's not good. But even though it says it's repealed and it's not repealed, it's still active. Okay, according to the law, it's still active. So if people don't know how to interpret the law, like even the way the legislation is set out, I have my own personal discovery with the what do you call it? It's just, hang on. Okay, everything's been put in the Criminal Procedure Act 2011. So my own personal discovery of what I've discovered in the criminal jurisdiction, the way it's set out, it's confusing. It's confusing if the judges are brand new, if the court registrars are brand new. Most of the court registrars don't have the background or the experience like I do. These are very rare. There's few of us that are actually quite experienced and can actually interpret the legislation properly. But with my personal experience and discovery in the legislation, the way the legislation, because I've had a lot to do with cases and the legislation, and they've deleted a lot of things, but then when you go to press it, like it says, you got to go in there. That's, if it's not repealed, for those who don't know what that means, it means it's deleted. Okay, so those laws are deleted, but usually they replace it with a substitute law and it's amended. But there's a conflict. Okay, there's a lot of things conflict in my own personal discovery. And if the judges are brand new, it's easy to confuse even a new judge. It's not nothing to do with them. So I don't know, it's something that the experienced judges need to have a look at, but I don't know whether I'm reading it correctly, but that is my finding, and I'm just like, hey, that's not right. So you could like put your everything into paper and stuff like that only to get your documents declined. I also have discovered that they've turned the civil jurisdiction, where obviously the Crown or the defendants are the defendants in my case, but they've made me the criminal, the innocent civilian, and made me pay them, and they've had no evidence. That's what they've done. Okay, so this is my personal experience, everyone. So I'm dealing purely with internal corruption. But behind the scene, when it's relationship scam, we got all this going on. Alright guys, I've gone on too long for this clip. But anyway, I will finish it there. And I will definitely keep you updated with my court cases, more so for safety measures too. Just going with things in the moment. Left behind cases like myself, I have found that it's the people within my space that are actually sabotaging me in my space because I'm a left behind case. They've actually sabotaged me in favour of for the other person that I'm being glued to or is animated in regards to relationship scam. I think everybody, those in criminal jurisdiction, know what I'm saying, but that's what's happened to me historically. So just learn to read your circumstances differently. Just because things are going difficult or negative, it's not necessarily because it's your fault or your curse. It's very likely you may be trapped or blocked, and you will go through everything I'm going through if you're targeted. All right, guys, bye for now.